scripture on darshan. Darshan means to see. The oldest scripture on darshan is what we call as Sankhya. Sankhya, the author of Sankhya, we don't know really because they say it is 25,000 years old, was a rishi called Kapil Muni. And most of whatever he may have written in those days has been lost. Just a few principles of Sankhya remain as Sankhya Darshan. It is a way of seeing life. So, a few days ago we talked about cosmology. Sankhya has its own cosmology, which later on, even though other darshans came, but they did use the term, many of them did use the terminology of Sankhya. Even in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has used the terminology of Sankhya. Right? So where he says that there are three gunas, tamas, rajas and sattva, where he says there is a purush and parapurush and prakriti, and he talks, all these are terms which have come from Kapil Muni. In the Mahabharata, there is a beautiful story about Kapil Muni. Of course, I don't know what its relation to Sankhya is, but there is a story that, and it's very significant. We should actually go into the depth of that story someday. That he was meditating in the, depths of the ocean. And a king, a very famous king, I can't remember the name of the king, I think it was Kartavirya Arjun, the name of the king. He was having a Rajasuya Yagna. And in the Rajasuya Yagna, a horse is sent throughout the lands, and the king's army follows the horse. All this is very symbolic. I don't think there was any real horse or anything. Symbolic, right? The horse represents so much, right? Every part of the horse represents something. The eyes, the ears, everything, right? So the horse was sent, and whichever king tied the horse, they would have to fight the battle with the army. And they found that the army had lost the horse. They couldn't find the horse. And the king was worried, so he sent his 1,000 sons to look for the horse. And they looked everywhere and they couldn't find the horse. And then they got news that the horse had gone to the bottom of the ocean, and where Kapil Muni was sitting in meditation, and Kapil Muni had tied the horse. So these 1,000 sons went to the Muni, and they told him that you have to return the horse. So he says, if you can, you take the horse. And he said some mantra, and all 1,000 of the children died. Then that king died, his son died, his son died. And many generations later, there was one king in that same lineage, and his name was Bhagirath. Bhagirath means the one who makes the great effort. The one who makes the great effort. And Bhagirath said that my lineage is still cursed. Those 1,000 sons have died, but nobody has done any ceremony behind them. Nobody has done a tarpan behind them. Right? Somebody has to do a tarpan behind them. And he says, I will do it. And so he meditates upon the river Ganga, and the Ganga was in the heavens, the Ganges was in the heavens. He meditates on the Ganga, and the Ganga says, okay, I will come down, and if my water flows, then all the souls of your 1,000 forefathers, they will all get freedom, mukti. But who will hold me when I fall? So then he meditates on Shiva. And Shiva says, okay, when the Ganga falls, I will hold her initial flow in my locks. Right? So this is the story. And then of course Ganga comes and all those 1,000 sons, their tarpan has been done, they are free, mukti. Ganga is knowledge, gyan. Yeah. To receive the higher knowledge, to receive the higher knowledge, something has to die at a lower level. Unless the lower dies, the higher will not flow. To hold the higher, you have to have dharana shakti. You should have a vessel capable of holding it. So this is just a story that Kapil Muni, and Kapil Muni had this darshan called Sankhya, and the basic principle of Sankhya is that there are two main principles. One is called Purush, the other is called Prakriti. This was before there was any God. Before there was anything else in India, 25,000 years ago, there was just one darshan, and that said there is Purush and there is Prakriti. They never talked about God, right? Purush was the seer, the one who saw. He only knew how to see. Whenever we are in the faculty of seeing, we are imitating what the Purush is doing, what the Absolute is doing. We will use the English word for Purush as Absolute. Absolute. And this Purush wanted to manifest the universe, but he could only see. So from the Purush was created something which is called nature, Prakriti. Just थोड़ी बात कर लो कि 25,000 વર્ષ પહેલા સાંખ્ય દર્શનનું નિર્માણ કપિલ મુનિએ કરેલું. કપિલ મુનિની વાર્તા તો તમે સમજી ગયા હશો, એટલે બહુ એની અંદર લઈ જાઓ, બધાને ખબર પડશે. પણ એક સાંખ્યના બે મુખ્ય પ્રિન્સિપલ છે, બે મુખ્ય પ્રિન્સિપલ કે પુરુષ છે અને પ્રકૃતિ છે. પછી પ્રકૃતિમાં શું આવે એ જુદી વાત છે. પણ પહેલું they divide everything into two parts. પુરુષ, the absolute, અંતિમ, એ પુરુષ છે, right? અને પ્રકૃતિ, આ સૃષ્ટિનું નિર્માણ, the one which creates the universe is Prakriti or nature, right?
Can't see.
Huh?
Can't see.
What?
Can't see.
I can't see. Oh. કંઈક સાકરની કણી મોકલજો. મોટું છે. Take sattva in the middle. देखा है? हमारे पास एक्स्ट्रा जोड़ी है। हम तो 3 जोड़ी ले गए हैं। So Purush and Prakriti. Prakriti has, according to Eastern tradition, 3 gunas. 3 gunas, 3 attributes. According to Western tradition, 3 forces. 3 forces. There is a slight difference between forces and gunas. We will take that later. Just now we will take both as one. Both as one. So Prakriti came out of Purush, and it is she who wants to create the universe. From her the universe is born, and within her are these 3 forces. And these 3 forces, they go out to make the universe, but when they are in Prakriti, in her original state, when the 3 forces are in a state of rhythm and balance, they cannot create anything. It is what my guru used to call a state of inky darkness. There is nothing over there. Now, out of this state, one of the gunas comes out, and that is the first guna, the active. Why the active? Because any Ichha Shakti, his desire energy, desire to create, his desire energy, in the sea of Prakriti, which was very calm, created some ripples, and one wave came out, and it says, okay, I will express his desire energy, I will create the universe. That became the active force. Active. But how to create? How to create? Right? If you want to create this hall, you need to have bricks, you need to have cement, you need to have whatever, sand and water and everything. So what is the materiality of life? Where does the material come from? Right? And this is right from most subtle to most gross. Where does the material come? So from that sea from which one wave came out and said, I will create the universe. So another wave came out and said, you want to create the universe, I will become the material. I will become the material. Right? And that material, even today we see in science, they have gradation of material. The most subtle material is hydrogen, and the most heavy material may be lead or whatever. Right? So there is a gradation of material from subtle to gross. But when science is talking, they are only talking of the seen universe, what we call as Bhu. When we are talking of the seen, the unseen, and the most unseen universe, the 3, the cellular, the seen, the molecular, the unseen, the electronic universe, the 3 universes, right? So this second guna called tamas, right? It became the material for building the whole universe, and it went into different gradations, right? In our Shastra, we say that it became 2 things. It became prana and rai. Prana was the energy which went into a structure. Rai was the structure. Rai was the structure. So wherever it made forms, it was rai. Wherever it made energy, it was prana. That was the second guna, tamas. But something has to connect both of them. Some intelligence is needed, right? You can't have 1 ton of cement and 1 spoon of water, right? You have to have so much of cement and so much of water. So which intelligence connects both of them? Which intelligence connects both of them? Which intelligence connects my desire to the material I need to fulfill that desire? And that was the third force, the connecting force called sattva. Sattva. Right? Is this clear to everyone? ફરીથી ગુજરાતીમાં બોલો. ગુજરાતી. હવે જ્યારે પ્રકૃતિ એના ઓરિજિનલ સ્ટેટમાં હતી ત્યારે એ મહાસાગર જેવી હતી, એકદમ શાંત મહાસાગર. તો એ સ્થિતિની અંદર એ રિધમ એન્ડ બેલેન્સમાં હતી. હવે ક્યાંક ઇંગ્લિશ શબ્દ વાપરું ને નહીં સમજાય તો પાછું કહેજો. રિધમ એન્ડ બેલેન્સ. રિધમ એન્ડ બેલેન્સ એટલે ત્યાં કોઈ પણ વસ્તુનું નિર્માણ નથી. એ સ્થિતિને મારા ગુરુએ નામ આપ્યું છે ઇનકી ડાર્કનેસ. ઇનકી ડાર્કનેસ. હવે એ સ્થિતિમાંથી, કારણ કે એમની ઈચ્છા હતી, કોની ઈચ્છા હતી? પુરુષની ઈચ્છા હતી, હા, કે વ્યક્ત થાય. એટલે એમાંથી એક મોજું નીકળી આવે છે અને કહે છે કે એની ઈચ્છા હતી, તો એ ઈચ્છા શક્તિના આધારે એ ઈચ્છા શક્તિનો રૂપ હું લઈ લઉં છું અને આ સૃષ્ટિનું નિર્માણ કરવા માટે હું નીકળી પડું છું. હા, એને રજગુણ કહેવાય. રજ મીન્સ એક્ટિવ. એક્ટિવ એને કરવું છે. એની ઈચ્છા શક્તિનું પ્રતીક છે એ રજગુણ. પણ એને સૃષ્ટિ બનાવવું છે તો કઈ વસ્તુથી બનાવી? એની પાસે કોઈ પણ મટીરિયલ નહોતું, કોઈ પણ દ્રવ્ય નહોતું. એટલે કે ક્યાંકથી જો મને માટી મળી જાય તો હું બધું બનાવું. એટલે અંદરથી બીજું મોજું નીકળી આવ્યું અને એને કીધું કે તું માટીની શોધમાં છે, હું માટી બનવા માટે તૈયાર છું. એ તમસ છે. તમસ ઇઝ ધ મટીરિયલ. પછી આગળ જઈને ઉપનિષદ ને બધાની અંદર એ તમસના 2 ભાગ કરી નાખે છે. વન વિચ મેક્સ ધ ફોર્મ, જે આકૃતિ બનાવે છે, અને વન વિચ ગિવ્સ એનર્જી ટુ ધ ફોર્મ. હા, એ 2 ભાગ કરી નાખ્યા તમસના, રાઈટ? એટલે તો ફોર્મનો ભાગને રહી કહે છે અને જે એનર્જીના ભાગને પ્રાણ કહે છે. પણ આ બંને જો મળે તો કયા રેશિયોમાં મળે, કઈ રીતે મળે, કોણ એને બેલેન્સ કરે? ને આગળ જશું તો આપણને ખ્યાલ આવશે કે થર્ડ ફોર્સની જરૂર પડે છે. એટલે ત્રીજું એક નીકળ્યું અને એ ત્રીજું જે હતું એ બંનેનો મિલનનું હતું, રાઈટ? એને સત્વ કહેવાય છે, કે ધ ન્યુટ્રલાઇઝિંગ ફોર્સ, ધ એક્ટિવ ફોર્સ ટુ ક્રિએટ, ધ પેસિવ ફોર્સ, ધ મટીરિયલ ફોર ક્રિએશન, the neutralizing force, that which balances the two, the intelligence which balances the two, the light which balances the two. Because in the Yoga Sutra, sattva shabd nathi vaipru Patanjali, he has used the word prakash, light. And sattva mate he has used the word light. Prakash, kriya, sthiti. Sthiti etle tamas, kriya etle rajas. Patanjali has not used the words tamas, rajas and sattva. But in the Gita, Krishna has used the words tamas, rajas and sattva. He has followed Sankhya. Now, what would be the order of creation? What would be the order of creation? The order is which came first, which came second, which came third. Which came third. So the order is rajas came first, the active force came first. That is why we number the active force as 1. We number the active force as 1. Right? The material came second, the passive force came second, right? So we number it as 2. Right? And the intelligence came third, we number it as 3. But somewhere we will have to interchange the numbers a little. Now supposing this is, we have seen in order of appearance, appearance. Suppose we were to take it in order of density. આજે આપણે લીધું કે પહેલું કયું નીકળું, બીજું કયું નીકળું, ત્રીજું કયું નીકળું, એ રીતે આપણે નંબર આપ્યા. 1 એટલે પહેલા રજસ નીકળું, 2 એટલે તમસ નીકળું અને 3 એટલે સત્વ નીકળું. તો આ તો બરાબર છે. આ જે નીકળવાની એક ઓર્ડર છે. આપણે કે ઘણીભૂતતાની ઓર્ડર શું હોઈ શકે? ઘણીભૂતતાની ઓર્ડર શું હોય? What would be the order of materiality, grossness, density, the order of density? Tell me. If something has to balance two things, it has to be in between. It has to be in between. એટલે રજસની ઘણીભૂતતા સૌથી ઓછી, તમસની સૌથી વધારે અને વચ્ચે સત્વ. So in order of appearance, the active will come first, the passive will come second, and the neutralizing will come third. In order of denseness, the active will come first, the neutralizing will come second, and the passive will come third. And later on, when we make equations, chemical equations, we are going to make a lot of equations with these two factors will become very, very important. Very important. समझाणु बताए? हाँ? Okay.
The order of density, is it the weight of the
Weight, the grossness.
The grossness. The active is more grosser.
The active is the most subtle.
Most subtle. And that's why it's
And the material is the most dense. Right? And because this one balances both, it has to be in between.
So that's 3.
Yeah. So we have two ways of numbering: 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 2. Later on, I'm going to change all this and I'm going to give them chemical names. So the active we will call later on. Just now, no need to bother about it. The later on we will call the active as carbon, right? We will call the passive as oxygen, and we will call the neutralizing as nitrogen, CON. And from that we are going to make a series of equations. Right from the food we eat, what equations are created inside. So that is why I usually don't take these subjects, because people say you're taking a chemistry class or something. Now, why do we want to understand this? What is our aim? What is our purpose? So this is the basic law of manifestation, the law of 3. Surgeon નું આ મૂળભૂત નિયમ છે. Right? So any kind of creation is always made of 3. Always made of. All manifestations, all processes, everything in the universe, seen, if it is unseen, has a form. Whatever it is, an unseen form, subtle, most subtle, everything is a result of the 3 forces. I get angry on you, it is 3 forces. I am friendly with you, it is 3 forces. I give you good something to eat, it is three forces. I give you bad something to eat, it is three forces. Everything in life is three forces. This is the basic law of the universe, the law of three. And it is so beautiful, yeah.
Does law of three apply in the Bhuvaswara levels?
Everything.
So throughout.
Bhuvaswara, law of three.
Yes.
Beyond Bhuvaswara, Jana Tapa Satyam, law of three. Right? In man, the head, the heart, the lower, law of three. Right? In the nervous system, central nervous system, sympathetic nervous system, parasympathetic nervous system, law of three. Right? So, the law of three is everywhere. We now are going to learn how to look at the universe not as you and I, but as a dance of forces. We want to learn the dance of forces. Shivno nૃત્ય છે આ સૃષ્ટિ અને એ નૃત્યની અંદર ત્રણ ગુણનો ખેલ છે. હર ક્ષણે, every moment. Now, when we say this is the basic law of the universe, what are we saying about the universe? What are we saying? That the universe is law. The universe is law. The universe is order. It is not chaos. It is not chaos. Man may be in a chaos, right? But the universe is not chaos. It is a very high intelligence, and that intelligence works with law and order. The very fact that science exists shows that there is law, there is order, otherwise there can be no science. So, now, there is creation and there is order of creation. શું બની શકે? બધા સુઈ જશે. Daydreaming my silence જશે. આ બન્યું, આ ત્રણ ગુણનો ખેલ છે. આ કઈ રીતે બન્યું તો શું હશે? Just tell me, how was this made in a factory? How was this made in a factory? Say sand was taken, right? That sand went through a process. From that process something else was made. Of course now it is done by machinery. In the old days they used to blow the glass, right? So this glass was made. So at each point in the factory was the three forces. In the sand, the three forces, right? From that something else was made, some intermediary product, three forces. That went into something else, again three forces, right? And if final product was this, again three forces. સમજાય છે શું કહું છું? તો I eat solid food, three forces. In the stomach it becomes something else, again from that three forces something else. Can you understand? From the stomach it goes into being vitamins and this and that. Again, those are three forces, right? So at each level there is different manifestation because of the three forces. These different manifestations we will call as triads. We will use the word triads. Triads, triads. Triads means a combination of three. Combination of three. Now, what other law do we need? What other law do we need? If this is the law of manifestation, what other law do we need in what I have said? A law for the order of manifestation. Law for the order of manifestation. Say કે three forces પહેલા નીકળ્યા એમાંથી, absolute માંથી, અને પહેલું જે બનાવ્યું સ્વહલોકનું એક એટમ બનાવ્યું. right? Supposing the three forces came out, and the first thing they made was an atom of Swahalok, or the electronic universe. From that atom, more gross atoms, the Bhuvalok, the molecular universe, more gross atoms, the seen universe or the cellular universe. There was a whole order of subtle to gross. So definitely we need one more law which tells of the order. The what of creation, the order of creation. Two laws are needed. The second law is the law of seven, which if we get time, we will go into that law also, right? So we have two laws of creation, the law of three, the law of seven, right? પહેલા એને એક એટમ સ્વહલોકનું બનાવ્યું, પછી ધીમે ધીમે વધતા ગયા, ભુવલોકના બનાવ્યા, ભૂલોકના બનાવ્યા. તો એ જે પહેલું નિર્માણ થયું એમાંથી વધારે ને વધારે ઘણીભૂતતા થયું. એ કયા ઓર્ડરથી થયું એ ઘણીભૂતતા, કયા નિયમથી ઘણીભૂતતા થયું? તો એ છે law of seven. So the whole of the universe, આખી સૃષ્ટિ, can be reduced to two laws, law of three, law of seven. ગીતામાં law of seven નથી લીધું, 8 લીધું છે, but 8 is also the same. અષ્ટદા પ્રકૃતિ એને કહે. So we'll repeat this. Every manifestation is a combination of three forces. These forces are the active, passive, neutralizing, rajas, tamas, sattva. 1, 2, 3. Later on we will see 1, 3, 2. The first force is the initiating force. જે પહેલા એની માથે લે છે કે હું કંઈક કરું. Second force is the resistance, the material. The third is the balancing or relating force that connects the two, and it connects at the point of application. Right? Now, for any kind of manifestation, the forces must meet at a certain point. If the active force is going in this direction and the passive force is going in this direction, there can be no manifestation. Right? This whole universe is forces. Right? But out of all those forces, only some are going to allow manifestation. What would this mean? What does this mean? It means that in the universe there are so many possibilities, but out of all those possibilities, only a few become actualities where the three forces meet at a particular point. એ ત્રણનું મિલન થાય તો જ નિર્માણ થાય. બાકી એક આ દિશામાં જતો હોય ને એક આ દિશામાં જતો હોય તો નિર્માણ ન થઈ શકે. તો આ આખી સૃષ્ટિ જો આ ફોર્સ જ હોય તો એની અંદર કેટલી બધી શક્યતાઓ પડેલી હોય, પણ એ બધી શક્યતાઓમાંથી બહુ ઓછી શક્યતાઓ પરિપૂર્ણ થાય છે, પરિપક્વ થાય છે. These forces are on every plane, in man and out of man in the universe. આપણી અંદર પણ કામ કરે છે અને સૃષ્ટિના હરેક આયામમાં કામ કરે છે. They come together as a triangle, a triad. One triangle can give rise to another triangle. The food goes in as a triangle, it gives rise to chyle. The chyle goes in as a triangle, gives rise to vitamins, etc., etc. આ સમજાય છે? એટલે એકમાંથી બીજું નિકળે છે, બીજામાંથી ત્રીજું. There is a chain. They move in chains, these forces. If two forces meet, the active and the passive force, there can be no creation. Nothing can be. They need the third force. Only with the third force the triangle is formed. It is like you have a lever. You have a lever. One force down, the lever pushing up. So there is a fulcrum. The fulcrum is the third force. Right? Or you have a windmill. Windmill, right? So, what is the active force in the windmill? The wind. What is the passive force? The building of the windmill. And what is the third force? The vanes. Pakya. The third force. They turn. They convert the active force into something else. A new triangle is formed. You understand what I'm trying to say? So, now the active and passive force are always opposite each other, and we have learned the law, they are equal and opposite. So, if the third force was not there in the universe, there was no third force, they would cancel each other and there would be no creation in the universe. It is the third force which balances both, it doesn't allow them to cancel, and something is made out of it. So the right third force is needed, right neutralizing force is needed. So, supposing we are doing an activity, I say this is a book, right? This is a book. I will close this book, right? I will close this book. So, I say the desire to close the book is the active force. The open book which is lying in front of me is the passive force, right? And the knowledge of how to close the book becomes the third force. Now, before the third force comes over here, we see two things. There are two poles created. The I which desires to close the book and the book which is material. So you see the order? Desire, material, balance. Desire, material, balance. Nothing can happen in the world without these three forces, right? Now these forces are in every religion, whether you say it is Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, whether you say it is the Father, Son and the Holy Ghost, right? These are the representations of the three forces. That is why my Guru used to say so many times, he used to call the Prakriti as a bubble. He used to call Prakriti as a bubble in Parpotu ke Prakriti. Right? અને કે જ્ઞાનની આંગળીથી તમે પરપોટોને અડો એટલે પરપોટો ગયું, ફૂટી ગયું, પતી ગયું, જાગી ગયા તમે. બસ એટલું જ કરવાનું છે, જ્ઞાનની આંગળીથી અડવાનું છે. Right? So if you can touch the bubble with the finger of knowledge, you're free. The bubble goes. But till then you're stuck in the bubble. So he used to say, all these gods you're praying to, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, they are in the bubble. They are not outside the bubble. Look for something outside the bubble, he used to tell me. All these gods which you are praying to, they are in the bubble. What is in the bubble? What is going to help you? You need some help from outside the bubble, he used to say. So these three forces are a part of the bubble. Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. Right? So in all religions, this basic idea of the three forces has always existed. Now, Purush is called the absolute. The absolute is not unmanifest. What is the absolute? We do not know. What these forces have come out of the absolute. The absolute is uncreate. In the Upanishads, they say you cannot draw any color there, you cannot draw any form there, you cannot draw any shape there, nothing. It cannot be seen with the eyes, it cannot be touched with the senses, and still it is. And still it is. The Upanishads will talk in that kind of language, right? That is the absolute, right? So these three forces are born out of the absolute. Right? So the absolute is that which is not conditioned in any way, unmanifest, uncreate, but creation comes out of the absolute. Now, the first creation, we were not going to go into this today, we'll go into it tomorrow, the cosmology, the ray of creation, which comes out of the absolute. We'll go into it tomorrow. Today I want to talk a little on how to observe the forces, so we start our homework from today. Right? Okay. But I'll just touch on it. The first force which comes out of the absolute, it has a will. What will does it have? The will to create. જે પહેલું ફોર્સ નીકળે છે એની અંદર સંકલ્પ શક્તિ છે. શેની સંકલ્પ શક્તિ છે? કે મારે સૃષ્ટિને બનાવવું છે. Right? The second force which comes out also has a will, the will of giving resistance. This one wants to put the accelerator, this one wants to give the brake, the one of resistance, the materiality of the universe, resistance of the universe. So the second force also has a will, the will to stop, the will to resist, the will to create obstacles, the will to become gross. Right? The second force. And the third force also has a will, the will to balance. The will. So from the absolute, the three forces are also created, but what is also created? Three different kinds of wills. ત્રણ સંકલ્પ શક્તિનો निर्माण થાય છે. એક સંકલ્પ શક્તિ જેને બનાવવું છે, એક સંકલ્પ શક્તિ જેને રેઝિસ્ટન્સ આપવું છે, અડચણ આપવું છે, અને ત્રીજી જે સંકલ્પ શક્તિ જેને બંનેને બેલેન્સ કરે છે. આ ત્રણ જાતની will નીકળે છે એબ્સોલ્યુટમાંથી, એ પૂર્ણતામાંથી. Now from that three which is born out of the absolute proceeds the whole of creation, from 3 to 6 to 6 to 12, 12 to 24, etc., etc. The whole of creation proceeds out of these three wills. This is the will of the absolute. The will of the absolute. Now, with every will there is a law. With every will there is a law. So the absolute is beyond all laws. પૂર્ણતાની અંદર કોઈ પણ નિયમ નથી, પણ જેવું એમાંથી ત્રણ ગુણ નીકળી આવે છે, ત્રણ જુદા નિયમ છે. એટલે આ જે ત્રણ નીકળી આવ્યા, they are conditioned. રાઈટ? હવે એ પૂર્ણતાની જેમ મુક્ત નથી, એ ઓલરેડી બંધાઈ ગયા, આ ત્રણ નિયમની અંદર બંધાઈ ગયા. બનાવવાનો નિયમ, અડચણ આપવાનો નિયમ, બેલેન્સ આપવાનો નિયમ, આ ત્રણ નિયમ, ત્રણ સંકલ્પ શક્તિનો જન્મ થયો, ત્રણ નિયમનો જન્મ થયો. So three laws were born. The absolute was beyond all laws. From the absolute, three laws were also born. And these three laws, the law of creating, the law of resisting, the law of balancing. And these, as the absolute became 3, became 6, then laws started increasing, conditioning started increasing. બંધન વધતું જાય છે. હવે આટલું આપણે બહારથી જોયું. We saw this from the outside. Now let us try to look inside, so we can start observing the forces from today. Right? Okay. તરસ લાગે એ કયું ફોર્સ? એક્ટિવ. પણ એ એક્ટિવ ફોર્સનો કંડક્ટર કયું? વોટર, the passive force. It's the passive force, the materiality. Right? But I need to balance just a sip. Right? હું આખી બોટલ જો અત્યારે પી જાઉં તો 5 મિનિટ પછી તકલીફ થાય. Right? So સત્વ જોઈએ. સત્વ જોઈએ. So, this is the law of life. સમજાય છે? We have to observe life now not as thirst, not as water, not as how much I should drink. The dance of active, passive, neutralizing. તમસ રજસ સત્વનું આ નૃત્ય છે. હર્ષણ, Every moment. Every moment. So how do we study the forces? We cannot study them just like science in the universe. It will be a theoretical study. Right? So we want to study them within ourselves, and they can only be studied through self-observation. Now, the active force is what I want. Mane su જોઈએ છે, એ રજસ છે. The active force, what I want. The passive force is what resists, what creates obstacles, what prevents, જે અડચણ ઊભા કરે, જે ઘર્ષણ ઊભા કરે. It can come in the form of obstacles. Now, we won't go to the third force because third force is very far away for us. Now, we want to recognize these two forces in our life. Unless we are able to see the first and second force, the third is very far away. We must practice in recognizing these two forces all the time. Now, what does this mean, these two forces? See, in science there are two forces. There is no third force. Science is now slowly discovering that there may be a third force. But in science there is always two forces. Positive electricity, negative electricity. Right? Two forces. But they are not very sure about the third force. But for thousands of years, religion has been talking about three forces. What does this mean? All my desires, all મારી અંદર જેટલી પણ ઈચ્છાઓ પડેલી છે. What does it mean? They are all active forces. They are all active forces. Now we know that every active force invites a passive force. Every active force. તો મારી અંદર ઘણી બધી ઈચ્છા છે. I have so many desires. Right? But I now have the understanding that with every desire there is also a passive force. Obstacles have to come. અડચણ તો આવવા જ જોઈએ. એ જેવું અંદર ઈચ્છા ઊભી થઈ એટલે અડચણ એ ક્ષણે નિર્માણ થઈ ગયું. So, will this understanding change my life? This basic understanding of the two forces, will it change my life? Just this intellectual understanding. હજી આપણે જોવાનું ચાલુ નથી. We have not started observing the forces. Right? This basic understanding that all the desires which I'm holding inside of me, right? Each desire has its own passive force. That passive force can come in any form is a different matter. You understand? So, what will it mean? How will this change my life? How will it change my life? કઈ રીતે મારું જીવનને આ ક્ષણેથી બદલાવી નાખશે? આ ક્ષણે. જો મારી અંદર ઈચ્છા કરવાથી જ એ ક્ષણે નક્કી થઈ ગયું હોય કે એ ઈચ્છાના આડે કયા અડચણો આવવાના છે, તો હું એમને કહી શકું કે તે મારું કામ બગાડી નાખ્યું? Is it possible? Can I blame him? Because that was decided at the time of making the desire. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Try to understand this. Try to understand this. My desire was not fulfilled because I did not understand the third force properly. I did not understand the third force properly. But I didn't understand two forces. I have no understanding of two forces because I am saying that the resistance came from him. I am blaming him. I am blaming her. હું બીજાનો વાંક કાઢું છું. Right? એટલે જે ક્ષણેથી આ આપણે સમજી ગયા કે આપણી અંદર જેટલી પણ ઈચ્છાઓ છે એની સામે એ ક્ષણે અડચણો નક્કી થઈ જાય છે, તો હવે દુનિયામાં કોઈ બીજાનો વાંક. So we stop blaming people, we stop blaming events, we stop blaming circumstances. સ્થિતિ, લોકો, ઘટનાઓ. બીજું શું થાય? બીજું, in terms of difficulties, what change will come in my life in terms of difficulties?
Suffering.
Huh?
Internal suffering.
I will understand. Okay. Anyone who desires has to face obstacles, right? And what I am going through just now, thousands of people in the world are going through the same thing, and they are going through the same thing because of their desire. It is a general phenomenon. It has nothing to do with me. Whatever suffering I am going through. But we feel our difficulties are unique. મારી તકલીફો છે. Now, let us go a little further. Where else will this knowledge come in handy? હજી તો self observation આપણે નથી કહ્યું. Where in our normal life will this knowledge come in handy? In our normal life. In making aims. I make an aim, I will first now say, in this desire, what is the passive force? Right? So in the morning, if I'm going to the office and I tell my wife, okay, I'll come at 6 o'clock and I'll take you for a movie, I have made the aim, right? But if I look properly inside, will I make the aim? No, I will not make the aim. Right? Because I know which difficulties are going to come. Right? So, this is one aim of the whole day, but what about the aim for the next hour? Right? See, I'm making an aim that I want to write 100 points. But in making that aim, I've forgotten that the match is going to start after 15 minutes. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? So I have not calculated second force. Some very good businessmen know a little bit how to calculate second force. They can calculate. So in making any aim in life, we now will first calculate what obstacles are going to come. Right? And we start observing this in the small acts of life, the very, very small acts of life. Now, what else will we say? We will see how we cannot keep the aim. I will decide from today, I am not going to eat any fried food from tomorrow. કાલથી કઈ પણ તળેલું નથી ખાવું. આવતીકાલે ભજીયા આવશે. I have not calculated properly. Can you see I'm shifting? Somebody has, what do you call, lost in love. So he'll say, I will never trust a woman again. કોઈ સ્ત્રીનો હવે ફરીથી ભરોસો નહીં કરો. And what happens? After 6 months he's married. So we cannot see that every aim we make, everything we say, there are forces of resistance. We are so blind. There are so many different eyes within us. The minute we make an aim, all those hidden eyes come to spoil the aim. They are waiting there, but we could not see them because we were hypnotized by our aim. But they were there, lying there. And the minute they come out, they start arguing. They start arguing with the eyes which have made the aim, the eyes which don't want, and they start arguing with each other. They argue amongst themselves and everything becomes a mess. So, whenever you make an aim in life, pause for some time, try to see which desire is making this aim. This desire is lying somewhere deep within me. That desire has already invited the passive force. Now till now I was blind to the passive force. Can I now see the passive force? The more I practice this over a period of time, my aims in life, my small aims in life will become more and more practical. Now, what is the law? And the law is that the nature of the second force is decided by the nature of the first force. The nature, એટલે કઈ જાતના અડચણો આવે છે એ અંદર મારી ઈચ્છા જે પડેલી છે એની આધારે તે અડચણો આવવાની છે. The nature of the second force, the obstacles will be decided by my deep desire inside. Please understand, at our present state we cannot even see first force because we don't know why we are doing something. We don't know why we are doing something. See, try to see what is conducting what force. You had your bath, you're wearing your clothes, right? You're wearing your clothes to go to a party, then those clothes are conducting active force. You're going to enjoy the party, will you wear beautiful clothes, right? But if you have to go to do overtime with your boss, then the same clothes are conducting passive force. The clothes are the same. The clothes are the same. Okay, you see what, right? So each moment, something 5 minutes ago was conducting passive force, it can be conducting active force. And the forces are changing every moment, right? He is talking to me, he is saying something, it could conduct active force. Suddenly he changes and says something, the same person is conducting passive force. Again after 5 minutes he says something, he is conducting active force. And it is only through self-observation that we will see this changing of forces. So we do not know which force is within us. Many times we pretend we want something, right? Really we do not want it. So the obstacles will come from where? Not from what we are pretending, right? From what we really, what is our deeper motive inside has already invited the obstacles. Why do we want to study the forces within ourselves? Because the forces are not things, like the glass is a thing. It is something invisible, એ અદ્રશ્ય છે. એટલે આપણી અંદર એને સ્ટડી કરવું પડે. Now, any desire I have is a force. Any idea I have is a force. Any thought I have is a force. Now, where does the problem come in? Where does the problem come in? The problem comes in because our whole thinking, our whole way of relating to life is digital. It is either this or that. It is either this or that. Yeah. So any event in life, either the event has to be good or the event has to be bad. We don't see the event in terms of two forces. I just try to. Later on we will go into the law of the pendulum in relation to the two forces. Now the pendulum is swinging from here to here and back here. When it is swinging on this way, one force is nearly zero And over here, this force is full, now it is moving this way. But the minute it has moved here, here the ratio of forces has changed. Here the ratio of forces has changed. But we, at any moment, we see the event as either good or bad. We don't see it as a ratio of two forces. By coming across this, it's very difficult. We'll keep on repeating this, go into it with different this thing. એટલે આપણે કોઈ પણ ઘટનાને સારું કે ખરાબ કહેશું, પણ કોઈ પણ ઘટનાની અંદર આપણે એમ નહીં કહેશું કે આની અંદર તમસનો ભાગ કેટલો છે ને રજસનો ભાગ કેટલો છે. What is the ratio of the two forces? Now here at this side, rajas is full, tamas is zero. But the minute it has moved a little, the ratio has changed. But you will say this was also bad, this was also bad. You are not talking in terms of ratio, but life is ratio. Each moment is a ratio. We'll have to think in a totally different way. Then nothing is perfectly good or perfectly bad. Nothing is 100% yes and 100% no. Suddenly we are seeing the whole movement of life as two forces, and every moment the ratio of the forces is changing because the pendulum is moving from here to here. We have to learn to recognize the forces, right? When you first came in the room, you were not sleepy. Jara kam alert hata. So what I was saying was conducting active force. Now you're feeling sleepy, time to go. What I'm saying is conducting passive force, right? Person is the same. So now don't try to see the event, try to see which forces are being conducted. एक नव दर्शन खुली जैसे life. You'll see an absolutely new perception of life. So the first problem is we cannot think of more than one thing at the same time. So we say it has to be either this, but we don't see which two forces are in balance. For that we have to learn to think of two. Think of two. So it requires practice. A thing attracts us, it is conducting active force. A thing repels us, it is conducting passive force. Right? I'm very hungry, the food is conducting active force. My stomach is full. And at that time the best dessert comes, but it is now conducting passive force. Can you understand? Now this is in relationship to things. What about people? What about people? Right? So we keep swinging in our relationship to people. From mechanical love to mechanical hate. Yantrik prem thi yantrik druna. The pachi we say the person has changed. It badlai gaya. Can a machine change? No. Can a machine change? It's not possible. He is fully mechanical. All the attitudes, everything is mechanical. How can he change? He cannot change. He is the same person. But we say he has changed. He is now conducting a different force. Now here is the point. Because it is the attitudes which force a certain force. I remember some years ago one lady phoned me up and she said, should I dye my hair or not dye my hair? I said, you look nice, why don't you dye your hair? Then she phoned me some days later from America. I got off the plane and I came to America. My son came to receive me and he said, oh, mommy, you're looking so different. Dyed your hair. So the force which is being conducted is different. The person is the same. The person is the same. Just by dyeing the hair, the force being conducted is different. Good tip, huh? Right? Good tip. Can you see each moment we have an attitude inside? We have an attitude inside. A person should wear clothes in a certain way, right? So if he's not wearing those kind of clothes, then the force he is conducting is different. We don't see that it's because of our attitude. We say he has changed. We say he has changed. And we cannot observe the attitude inside. જે અંદર વલણ છે એ આપણને દેખાતું નથી. અને જ્યારે પણ આપણે કોઈને પણ કહીએ છીએ કે ભાઈ તું બદલાઈ ગયો છે, એ બદલાયો નથી, આપણો અંદરનું વલણ બોલે છે. We are speaking from an attitude whenever we say to another person that you have changed. It's a good opportunity to look for the attitude. So each moment try to observe what is changing, because life is a flux. It is the forces are dancing every moment they are changing. Everything in life which is coming in from, sometimes it is conducting one force, another moment it is conducting another force. And as you practice this, suddenly you will be able to see life in a different, from a totally different vision. Your whole perception of life will change. આખી દ્રષ્ટિ જીવનનું બદલાઈ જશે. One moment ago he was conducting this force, one moment ago now he is conducting another force. And as you practice this, we are second force blind just now. We don't see the obstacles. We are even first force blind. We can't see the deeper motives lying within us. જે આપણી ગહેરી ઈચ્છાઓ છે એ આપણને દેખાતા નથી, અને એ હર ક્ષણે આપણા જીવનમાં અડચણોને આમંત્રિત કરે છે. એ આપણને ખબર જ નથી. એ નથી દેખાતો તો અડચણ કેવા દેખાશે? રાઈટ? એટલે આ ધીમે ધીમે આ બધાના પ્રત્યે આપણી આંખ ઉઘડશે. પછી we will go into seeing the third force. Once we are able to recognize the two forces, how to recognize the third force. We'll continue this tomorrow. This will take a few days, right? Okay? Thank you. Any questions? Now we will take a little bit of cosmology, how the universe was created through forces. એટલે જરા આપણે આજે અંદરનું થોડું લીધું, કાલે બહારનું થોડું લીધું, something. Macrocosm, microcosm. As above, so below. Pinde so Brahma. Well, any questions, anyone? Okay. Right. Thank you. Jai Shri Krishna. Suppose you want to travel somewhere, you'd ask the question, how far away it is? કેટલું દૂર છે? So supposing you were to ask the question, how far away is God? How far away is God? Wherever we read, we say God is everywhere. Huh? Within and without. How true? Today we are going to measure the distance. We are going to measure the distance today. How far away is God? Very, very far. Very, very far. And it needs tremendous effort. Not just the imagination that He's sitting in everyone. Right? Of course, people give lectures, see God in everyone. Illusion. Illusory. So today we are going to measure the distance, how far away is God, right? And how difficult it is. And still we have to make the effort. We use such easy terms. Okay, His grace is on me. When I say His grace is with me, when I say He is doing everything, isn't it a subtle ego? Okay, He has chosen to do everything for me. Right? So all these terms are meaningless. એની ઈચ્છા હતી એટલે આમ થયું. Are you sure? એની ઈચ્છા હતી. Right. So let's see. Now the normal saying everywhere is God created the universe. आ दुनिया कौन बनाई? भगवान ने बनाई. So the normal saying everywhere is God created the universe. Yesterday we saw what created the universe. Who remembers? What created the universe? Prakriti. And within Prakriti, three forces having three different wills. Having three different wills. Right? So we had the will of God which created Prakriti, and then within Prakriti there were three different wills. So immediately Prakriti is born, immediately Prakriti comes into being. There are three different wills. The original will of God, we are one step away from that already. Sir, we are already one step away from that. And now there are three separate wills, the three wills of Prakriti. Right? They are not of the original quality of God. There the vibrations were different. Now these three wills are one step lower. They have descended. Now the matter is of a different quality. Right? So we are already one step away from God. But we have all kinds of vague ideas that creation is at the same level. Supposing we go to a beautiful place and we see beautiful scenery, trees and mountains and rivers, and we'll say, oh, God has created all this. Right? But is it possible for His will to reach right up to here? It is possible, but we'll see how difficult it is. How difficult it is for His will to reach. Right? So Prakriti starts this process of creation. And by the time it reaches down to where we are, it is very, very far away. the original will of God, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Very difficult. So we have this great grandiose idea within us. Like we are going to have a child, so we arrange the room full of toys. God created this world and all these are just toys which He has created. This is the great idea which we live in. And if that is true, then there are no laws. There can be no laws. But because everything is subject to law, so each step that the law goes lower, God's will goes further. તો આપણને એમ છે કે જેમ આપણે રમકડાની એક ફેક્ટરી છે એમ ભગવાને આ બધું બનાવી લીધું, રમકડાઓ બનાવી. આપણે ભજન પણ ગાય, રાખના રમકડા અમારા રામજીએ બનાવ્યા, રાખના રમકડા. બ્યુટીફુલ ભજન, બ્યુટીફુલ ભજન. But when we come into that state of playfulness, that state of playfulness is called Ram. That state of playfulness is called Ram. Then Rakhna Ramakda barabar છે. But where we are, if you see certain religious texts, there are stories of how the world was created. And on the first day he did this, and on the second day he did this, and on this day he did this, and on Sunday he took a holiday. Right? Sunday he took a holiday. Nobody gives me a holiday on Sunday. So we see everything in our linear time. Everything through our five senses. Our thinking is based upon our five senses. Sensual thinking. And we interpret those stories. And those stories were written by a very high intelligence. Very, very high intelligence. And they are put in allegory. They are trying to say something. They are saying it is a scale. It is a scale, right? That as creation descends, it becomes more and more gross. In degrees it descends. There the degrees of vibration is higher. The degree of matter is lower. As we grow lower, the degree of matter increases. The degree of vibration goes down. God is a pure vibration. Pure vibration. There is no matter there. Prakriti is now vibration plus matter. Right? તો આવી વાર્તાઓ આપણે વાર્તા નથી પણ લખેલું હોય આપણા ગ્રંથોની અંદર કે ભગવાને 7 દિવસમાં દુનિયા બનાવી. તો આપણે જ્યારે એ વસ્તુને જોઈએ છીએ ત્યારે આપણી જે વિચારવાનું ઢબ છે એ ઇન્દ્રિયગત છે, ઇન્દ્રિયતીત છે. એટલે આપણે 7 દિવસ એટલે 7 દિવસ જ ગણીએ. એ નથી ખબર પડતી કે એ એક સ્કેલની વાત, પગથિયાની વાત કરે છે. પગથિયા એટલે એ જે ભગવાન હતા એ સૌથી સૂક્ષ્મ હતા અને જેમ નીચે ઉતરતું જાય છે ડિગ્રીઝની અંદર ઘણીભૂત થતું જાય છે. So the degrees become lower and lower, and by the time it reaches the earth, God is very, very far away. Very, very far away. Right? And we live under the illusion that God's will is everywhere and touches everything. God's will is everywhere and touches everything. Our Guru, yeah.
Usually if God's will is very far away, but then within us is the divinity. So that is also God's will within us.
Right. That is there, but we have to find it. We have to find it. And we will see it is 1 upon 48. It is 1 upon 48. And when we are negative, it is 1 upon 96. When I'm in a state of negativity, when I'm in a state of anger, right, it is 1 upon 96. Right? So it is so far away. So far away. We are bound by 48 laws. 48 laws. And the minute we go into a negative state, we are bound by 96 laws. God is pure freedom. Pure freedom. But we can make good ornaments out of those laws, the chains of this thing. We can arrange it a little and say, God made such a beautiful bangle for me. So we feel God is in charge of everything. Law is in charge of everything. Law is in charge of everything. God does not change the law. It is not possible. So God's will is very far away. But we use terms that it is His will, His grace, He gives us. They are very good terms to be free of possessiveness. They are very good terms to dissolve the ego. It is good. Don't stop using those terms. At least the I did it, at least the ego. Right? But they give us the illusion that it is really God's will. Now, when I use terms that I don't own anything, everything is given by Him, right? Or I'll say, okay, so you'll say, your lecture was very good, so I'll say it's the grace of the Guru. That is right. That's the grace of God. So it's good. We don't want to be free of that. It's very good. It brings consciousness. But we have to be aware what is the opposite end of the pendulum. What is the opposite end of the pendulum? Can you see what I'm trying to say? Samjha? Okay, any ichha aati, right? Supposing કાલે મને લોટરી મળે, મળવાની નથી. But supposing કે કાલે મને લોટરી મળે, any ઈચ્છા હતી. Any ઈચ્છા હતી. Right? He was so kind enough to come and give me a lottery. Right? Okay. Now, what would be the opposite end of the pendulum when I use terms like this? What would be the opposite? And it's very dangerous. We must try to see. Huh?
I do everything.
No. The opposite end of the pendulum.
His will. Say opposite. That one is my will.
It is His will that I kill you. Can you understand? I can interpret it.
My will that I resurrect you. So that's opposite.
No. What I'm trying to say is the opposite end of the pendulum, that He is giving me everything, right? What would be the opposite end of the pendulum of this? I'm not saying, don't take it as a logical opposite. Don't take it as that He takes away everything. Not that way. Right? Don't take it as a logical opposite. So, try to take it as an opposite in my way of thinking. What kind of patterns would form in my way of thinking? Right? If I say everything belongs to, it is His will that I have everything, that I am living such a comfortable life, then somebody else will also say that it is His will that I should take a sword and kill him, which is happening all the time. Can you see what I'm trying to say? It is just the opposite end of that thinking. Right? And we are now moving on the path of self-observation. Suddenly we say it is His will, but be careful, look little further. Look little further. Somebody else may say, we are saying it is His will positive. Somebody may say it is His will negative. Both are His will. And this is the illusion. It's the illusion.
Rajan bhai?
Huh?
Is that sort of, you will then justify everything you do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything is justified. Everything is justified.
So what should we say in this case?
Hmm?
What would you then say in such a case?
No, I'm not saying don't use those terms, but keep the opposite end in view. That because we use these terms, somebody else can use the same term negatively. The same term negatively.
Because that term is used quite a bit.
It is used a lot. It is used a lot. And it was one of the, what you call, techniques in the, what you call, Hindu Shastra. That you say it all belongs to him. So you don't have possessiveness, you don't have that ego. It becomes an easy way to dissolve the ego. Of course, then it can also create a subtle ego, that he favors me. Right? So we have to be aware of that. What I'm trying to say is using those terms also, if it is his will in giving me money and giving me comfort, it is also his will that I kill somebody. Can you get what I'm trying to say?
We say that at a logical level that may be so, but
Yeah.
thinking in terms of Meera, Meera who drank the poison,
Right.
she did it with a belief and an understanding that it all comes from him. It's his grace. So that is not the logical. If we saw that, we would shy away from drinking the poison. She didn't.
Yeah, but when you are in that state where you can drink the poison in that way, you have a right to say it. Meera went through a long process, a very long process of inner struggle. She has established an observing eye. She called that observing eye as Girdhar. Mere to Girdhar Gopal. That eye was observing all the dusra na koi. That eye was observing all the other eyes. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? In that process, she fought her inner Mahabharat war. She was through with it. Right? Whether when she is singing poison, we take it with our logical, what do you call, sensual mind. We say poison means real poison. And then of course a movie is made with poison. We don't take poison as negative emotion. Right? If somebody can throw all the negativity upon me, but I can transform it into something higher. Right? So this is our weakness, that we take everything with our sensual mind. Poison has to mean real poison. If God created the world in 1 week and took Sunday as a holiday, it has to be 1 week. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? We don't understand the deeper meaning hidden in that. So it is okay to say poison. Even my guru used to say, you throw stones in my stomach, they'll digest. Yeah, but then he was, what do you call, drenched in yoga. Drenched in yoga. So he had a different system. I'm not very sure whether but I am quite sure that Meera had what she's singing has a much deeper meaning than real poison. The real poison. She didn't want to perform a miracle or something. Yeah, any magician will perform a miracle. Right? She's talking about something totally different. See, in the Bible there are stories like Christ transformed the wine, the water into wine, right, at the wedding at Cana. And you can take it sensually also, that he did some miracle and he touched the water and it became wine. That is one way of taking it. And there are deeper meanings also. So it depends on which way you look at it, what you read into it. Right? From where we are, we can only see water and wine. Right? But if we have practiced inside, we have observed our negativity, we know what water means and what wine means. So we take the first circle as the absolute. In the absolute, there is just one will. We'll put three things in the absolute: consciousness, attention, will. Right? Will. Three things are there. You can't see it? Huh?
Thank you.
Everybody else can see it?
अक्षर थोड़ा मोटा कर
हमारे तो आम दोरू छे
Right, right.
तो नजीक का જોઈ લેશે
નથી દેખાતું? દેખાય? અડધું દેખાશે તો ચાલશે. So there is one will in the absolute, a single will, the will to create. There is no other will. There is only one will, the will to create. Right? There is attention, the ray of attention. So when that attention comes right down from the absolute, I look at you, it is the absolute looking at you. The absolute looking, ray of attention and consciousness, full consciousness. Three. Right? Now, out of the absolute comes the next world. We will call this as world number 3. This will be world number 1, the absolute, unmanifest. There's nothing that we cannot even imagine what it is. Right? World number 3. This will have 3 wills, 3 laws. Right? Something has changed from here to here. ITI, outer, something has changed. These are the 3 forces. The 3 forces. Now we go one down layer. So next we'll have 6. How will it have 6? 3 forces of its own and 3 of the previous. 3 forces of its own own, 3 of the previous. Right? Okay. So here now we have how many laws? 6 laws. We are already so far away from the absolute. So far away from the absolute. Right? We go one step lower. 12. So how did we get 12? 3 of this, 6 of this, 9, and 3 of its own. Right? 3 of this, 6 of this, 3 of its own, 9. Now here we are under 12 laws. Right? Then we go one step lower. 24. How do we get 24? 3 of this, 6 of this, 9, 12 of this, 21, and 3 of its own, 24. Then we go one lower. 48. How do we get 48? 3 of this, 6 of this, 9, 12 of this, 21, 24 of this, 45, 3 of its own, 48, and one lower, 96. Same calculation, 3 of this, 6 of this, 9, 12, 21, 45, 48, 93 plus 3 of its own, 96. This is how creation descends according to law. According to law. At 96 creation ends. Why it ends at 96 we will see when we study the law of 7. When we study the law of 7. તો ફરીથી એબ્સોલ્યુટમાં એક will, એક એની ઈચ્છા, એમાં ત્રણ વસ્તુ છે, કોન્શિયસનેસ, અટેન્શન, will. એકમાંથી ત્રણ ગુણનો જન્મ થાય છે અહીંયા, 3 gunas, 3 forces, right? 3. This is world number 3. Next comes world number 6, world number 12, 24, 48, 96. What this means we will see later. Now, try to understand. This is the first world, the world number 3. Now, when we are looking at 6 here, 3 are of the lower world, but 3 are of the higher world. Right? When we are looking at 12 here, only 3 are of the first world out of 12. Right? When we are looking at 24 over here, only 3 are out of the 24. When we are looking at 48, only from the original world there are only 3. The rest have come in the descending order. Can you understand what I am trying to say? This 3 in the Yoga Sutra is called as Ishwar. What Patanjali calls this as Purush, and these 3 forces, this is as Prakruti. But in every stage of Prakruti there is one part of the original world, right, that he calls as Ishwar, the controlling factor. And so when we come to our world is world number 48. Out of these 48, Ishwar is 3. Very, very far away. Very, very far away. We are tied up in chains of 48 laws, right? Tied up in chains of, unless we break those chains, come under 24 laws, come under 12 laws, come under 6 laws. That possibility exists in man. But just by imagination, that possibility cannot come. Okay, he is doing everything for me. It's imagination. You have to make that effort to break these chains and rise up this ladder. Rise up this ladder. Is this clear? Gujarati karo? મારું ગુજરાતી ને સુધારવાનું. રાઈટ? આ ઓરિજિનલ જે 3 છે, એને યોગ સૂત્રમાં પતંજલિએ શું નામ આપ્યું છે? ઈશ્વર. એટલે ઈશ્વર ભગવાનને નથી કીધું, ભગવાનને શું કીધું છે? પુરુષ. પુરુષ. અને પુરુષમાંથી શું નીકળે છે? પ્રકૃતિ. પ્રકૃતિની 3 will છે, 3 forces, right? That he calls the original 3 forces as Ishwar. Now the 3 forces keep on multiplying. 3 into 3 into 3, they keep on multiplying. They keep on remaining 3, but Sukshma Mati Sthul. Sukshma Mati Sthul, right? The laws keep on increasing. But in every plane of existence,
English was something.
laws વધતા જાય છે. laws વધતા જાય છે, પણ હરેક આયામની અંદર, હરેક પગથિયાની અંદર એક ભાગ આનો ઓરિજિનલ ભાગ છે. એને આપણી અંદર જે ઈશ્વર બેઠો છે એ આ છે, એ ભગવાન નથી, પણ એ આ છે. એટલે આપણે આ ટર્મ વાપરી શકીએ કે out of the 48 laws here there is one law which is controlling everything. 3 laws, 3 wills, they are called Ishwar. એટલે we use the term ઈશ્વરની ઈચ્છા હશે તો, ભગવાનની ઈચ્છા હશે તો, નહીં, absolute નહીં. Because absolute is very, very far away. very far away. Right.
Actually, is Ishwar and Prakriti synonymous?
No. Prakriti is the three forces in rhythm and balance. Now, those three forces are now expressing their will. Right? These are the original three forces which have come out of the absolute. They are the controlling factor. The whole process has started out of it. Right? Prakriti is everything. This whole thing is the movement of Prakriti. But within that Prakriti, there is one part which is called as, this is in our darshan, it is called as Mool Prakriti. Right? If you read the yogic literature and Vedantic, they will talk about Mool Prakriti. In Sankhya, they will talk about Mool Prakriti. That is Ishwar, the controlling factor. Right? So in every universe which is created lower and lower, every cosmos which is created lower, one part is of that original three. So creation means laws. And the more far away we are from the point of creation means more laws, means more. We are in a deeper prison. Now this vertical line is the growth of consciousness. Only man can rise because he has all the worlds within him. He can rise in that consciousness. Why is it so important to be free of negative emotion? Why is it so important? See, if we are born with 48 laws, but we are living our whole life negative, this thing that you cheated me, now my whole life I am going to take revenge on you. So now I come under how many laws? 96. God has gone very, very far away. Very, very far away. I am in a very dark place if I am living my whole life like that. Can you understand what I am trying to say? We have to climb this ladder. From 48 we become 24. From 24 we become 12. Later we will see, as we go deeper into this, actually man's destiny at present as he is ends at 12. Ends at 12. Now we are going to just add something over here.
Destiny ends at 12.
Pardon?
Why does man's destiny ends at 12? We aren't able to bridge into 6 laws.
No. At present our destiny ends in 12. At present our destiny ends in 12. That is why we relate the Gayatri mantra to the sun. So we say our destiny ends in the sun. Similarly, if there is a small cell in the body, its destiny ends in the body. Right? So we are living in a solar body just now. Right? So in that sense, our destiny ends in the sun. Right? That does not mean we cannot go further, but this is our present destiny. Now, this world number 3 will mean all worlds. This means our world. What is our world called? The Milky Way. The Milky Way. Right? So, we can another word we can use for that is all suns. Now try to see this as a hub of a cycle. Hub of a cycle, right? That hub of the cycle is the absolute. From the absolute, one ray has come out. Like that, so many rays are going to come out, right? Now one ray has come out. This is all worlds. But from this all worlds, so many other rays are going to come out. The first ray which came, which we are now talking about because we are concerned with it, is our ray, our galaxy. right? But if we go before that, there may so many galaxies may have come out of the absolute. So we say our galaxy, we call it all suns which are lying in the galaxy. It is called the Milky Way. From that, again the body of our sun we take out. So we say this is the sun, the present sun, 12, right? Then this becomes all planets. Can you see? From each we have taken out a body. All worlds we have taken out the body, one world. From one world we have taken out a body, sun. From the sun we have taken out a body, all planets. From the all planets we have taken out one planet, Earth. And from the Earth we have taken out one moon. This is where it ends. This is where it ends. This is the hierarchy, the cosmology, the hierarchy, the laws of the world. They go in this way. ફરીથી આપણે કહીએ કે એબ્સોલ્યુટ માંથી એક કિરણ નીકળ્યું, એમાંથી થ્રી લોઝ માંથી ઓલ વર્લ્ડ્સ, એટલે એમાંથી ઘણા બધા કિરણો નીકળ્યા, જુદી જુદી દુનિયાઓ. આપણી દુનિયાને આપણે શું કહીએ છીએ? મિલ્કી વે. મિલ્કી વેમાં ઘણા બધા સૂર્ય છે, એટલે વી કોલ ઇટ એઝ ઓલ સન્સ. ઓલ સન્સ. એમાંથી એક સૂર્ય આપણે કાઢી લીધું, જેની અંદર આપણે રહીએ છીએ, એટલે આપણું સોલર સિસ્ટમ, સોલર બોડી, રાઈટ? ધ પ્રેઝન્ટ સન. એમાંથી બીજું બોડી આપણે કાઢી લીધું, બધાય ગ્રહો, રાઈટ? ઓલ ધ પ્લેનેટ્સ. એમાંથી એક ગ્રહ આપણે કાઢી લીધું, ધી અર્થ. અને અર્થમાંથી આપણે શું કાઢ્યું? ધ મૂન. એટલે આ રીતે રે ઓફ ક્રિએશન અહીંયા પૂરું થાય છે. But from the absolute there may have been how many rays of creation? We don't know. We don't know. This is one ray of creation. In studying this ray of creation, we study ourselves and we study the absolute. We study the absolute. Now, this is not a dead ray. स्थूल वस्तु નથી. It is a living ray. Everything in this ray is trying to go one step higher. It is evolving. The moon is in some process trying to become the earth. The earth in some process is trying to become the sun. Planets or sun. The sun in some process is trying to go higher. Right? Everything is evolving. And for this evolving process, certain energy, certain material is needed. આ બધું ઉત્ક્રાંતિના રસ્તે છે. મૂન છે એ પૃથ્વી બનવા માંગે છે, પૃથ્વી છે સૂર્ય બનવા માંગે છે, સૂર્ય પર કંઈક આગળ બનવા માંગે છે. એ બધાની માટે એને અમુક ખોરાકની જરૂર પડે. રાઈટ? ઓકે. હવે let us try to see this in another way. Supposing there's a hierarchy in the army, right? There's a hierarchy in the army. There's a general. So under the general, the whole army comes. Whole army comes, right? After the general comes the brigadier. From the brigadier will come the colonel. From the colonel will come the captain. From the captain will come the sergeant. And from sergeant will come the soldier. Right? Soldier. Let us draw it on the board. So we have the general. Under the general comes the brigadier. Under the brigadier will come the colonel. Right? Under the colonel, the captain, the sergeant, soldier. General is not ruled by anyone. He comes under his own one law. One law. Right? But the brigadier comes under his own law and the general's law also. Right? Now, under the general there may be so many other brigadiers. Then again different lines will start from there. Right? The colonel comes under the law of the brigadier and also of the general. So he is under his own law, under the law of brigadier, under the law of general. The captain is under his own law, under the law of colonel, under the law of brigadier, under the law of general. The sergeant, same way. And poor old soldier, he is under all these. He is under all these. Right? Can you understand? In the universe, this is called the law of order. This is called the law of order. You will buy a home, so the home is the general. Then you will make rooms, brigadier. But all the rooms will relate to the general, the home. Right? Within each room you will make furniture. They will relate to that room. Within the furniture you will put cushions and what all you will put in the cupboards. Right? So that way, this is the law of order in everything we do in our life. We follow this law which has come out of the absolute. Right? Some old ladies, they have they take one cloth and they fold it, put it into another cloth and put it in. Right? So if you go in their cupboard and you ask them where is that thing, then they'll take out, open this. Right? So follow the law of the absolute. Right? So the soldier is under many laws. The soldier is under many laws. But a certain soldier may attract the attention of the captain. Right? He may attract the attention of the captain. So the captain will say, okay, you come and work in my office directly. So he bypasses the sergeant. Now he has bypassed the sergeant, right? He has come under less laws. He has risen in consciousness. Can you get what I'm trying to say? Certain soldier may come under the eye of the general. General can say, bhai, tu mari office mein aavi ja kaam karo. Come in my office and work. Then this soldier who has come into the general's office, he has bypassed all these who are below him. You understand? This is the same thing in sadhana. We rise up step by step and we come under fewer and fewer laws. The same thing we can see in our own body, right? Same thing. The body is divided into many, many parts, but the whole body is a whole. The smaller parts are under more laws. So if I take this small part of the finger, it comes under the law of the hand, but the law of the hand comes under the law of the arm. The law of the arm will come under the law of the muscular system. The law of the muscular system will come under the law of all the whole body. Right? So this is everywhere, wherever there is order in the whole universe, order is according to this law. According to this law. From the top, it goes downward in increasing laws, in increasing destiny, in increasing grossness. This is the very principle of the law of creation. Right? Okay. I just wanted to take this as a background. So please do keep this as a background, because what we have seen going down is the law of 7. And we are going to go into that law later on deeper. Any questions on this? Otherwise I'll talk about something else then.
With our destiny, with our destiny being the sun, is this the sun we see or is it another sun?
No, there's a spiritual sun inside. But the laws inside and outside are the same. This is the same ray of creation. Within us is the absolute also. Right? But what is achievable by us in our present state? The absolute is lying inside. But is it achievable, or is one or two steps lower achievable? Right? Even though that is there, but in our present destiny, we have to say, we have to go down a little, one or two steps. Maybe at some time that will also be possible. Right? Let's take it another way. We talked about the bodies. We talked about the bodies. So we said that there is a physical body and there is an emotional body which is attached to the physical body. As we increase our consciousness, we transform that emotional body into an astral body. So it is no longer attached to the physical body. As long as it is attached to the physical body, it is ruled by the physical body, by all the desires, all the inclinations, all the indulgences of the physical. Right? So if the physical is uncomfortable, the emotional is upset. Can you get it? If the physical does not get food, the emotional is angry. You just get it? So everything related to the emotional is controlled by the physical. So what we have is a physical body and an emotional body. Now, as we grow in consciousness, we separate the emotional from the physical. So we say, okay, we do not have food, but I am not going to get angry, I'll fast. I'll fast, right? Now, this emotional is no longer controlled by the physical body. On the contrary, the emotional is now controlling the physical. It has become, from emotional body, it has become astral body. Right? So we have one body and one body behind which is now controlling the physical body. We have created one step in the link of going up. You understand? Now we say that can we create one more body, a mental body? A mental body. Right? There's a process of creating a mental body from the astral body. Right? Mental body will mean the sun. It will mean the sun. Definitely in this life, that is, we cannot even imagine of thinking anything beyond that. It's very rare to see a person who has created an astral body. To see a person who has created a mental body is, and it's very, 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 very rare. That person can only be recognized by some people who know how to recognize it. And there are certain bones in this area which change their shape. Change their shape. Only those people have formed a mental body. But yes, at least can we form something which is separate from the physical? So, because what will happen with the death of the physical, there will be no consciousness in the emotional. So it works out to death of the emotional. Death of the emotional. But if we have separated, we have made an astral body. લાગણીના શરીરમાંથી ભાવ શરીર જો આપણે બનાવ્યું હોય તો physical will die, but this is separate and it does not die. It does not die. It has a much longer life and we can hold consciousness there. Right? Then we can create one more body. So I don't think we are going to go that far. The sun is creating its mental body. The earth is creating its astral body. The moon has a dead physical body which it wants to make alive to create an astral body. So each is trying to move one step higher this way. Now, some things which my guru told me, of course they may have some meaning to you or not, I don't know. But I'll just share them with you. Don't ask too many questions because I am also working my way up the path. It is not something which I know all the answers to. So, he said that just as planets, like the earth is making its astral body, and the sun is making its mental body, many stars have already made their mental body. So now say the physical body has a life of say 70, 80, 90 years, whatever. And after that, if the astral body is with consciousness, then that astral body, it can decide whether to take birth or not to take birth, at least for a period of 500 years. Right? So it has a life which is 5 times that or 6 times that of the mental. If it is created, then that person can live in the swaha. And he may not decide to take birth for 2,500 years. Right? By then the mental has to die. So again he has to decide whether he wants to take birth or let the mental die and disappear. Right? That is the point where you can go higher. Till those 2,500 years pass, you cannot go higher. You have to wait for that body to. That is why I said just now our destiny is in the sun, at least for 2,500 years. Now, take this on the same scale as stars. That the sun makes a mental body. The physical body of the sun dies. The astral body of the sun dies, but the mental body is still living. Of course, it is invisible to our 5 senses because our 5 senses can only see the physical. Now, for any solar system to have life, where man is there, man for life, there must be a star with a fully formed mental body. Now our sun is all making its mental, it doesn't have a fully formed mental body. But Jupiter, Guru, Jupiter, it has aligned itself with one mental body of some star which has died long ago. The physical has died, the astral has died, and it has aligned itself. Right? That is why Jupiter is the most intelligent planet in our solar system. That is why in what you call Indian astrology, we call it as Guru. Guru. It is the most powerful. Its vibrations are the most powerful. They are the most uplifting for consciousness. But there's the other side to the pendulum. They are also the most powerful to enjoy life also. Right? Okay. So it works both ways. Now, see, this is not something of science. This is what my guru has told me. So he says there is a mental body behind Jupiter, and Jupiter is there, and that is why the vibrations of Jupiter are the most powerful and most beneficial in the solar system, because it has something higher behind it. And it is connected to that point in that higher by what is called in Jupiter is the red spot. The red spot. That is the magnetic ring which connects the lower to the higher. So he used to say, on this earth, there is one place which has these vibrations, and these vibrations go into rays at different places on the earth. So, if you go to where the Ganges starts, the Ganga starts, right, in Gaumukh, so that place has the same vibrations as Jupiter. Right? Now there are many places on the earth where these rays fall off and make it as powerful as that red spot. So a person who is in his, what you call sadhana, has reached that state, he can make use of these vibrations. He may go to that spot, he may do some prayers at that spot, whatever. And that is the whole, what you call, science of the Shiva Lingas. The Shiva Lingas, right? There are different spots on the earth where some rays meet, 2 rays meet, 5 rays meet, 6 rays meet, whatever they meet, and there are different spots on the earth. Some are in the Andes, some are in the Rocky Mountains, some are in the north of England, some are in India, some are elsewhere, right? Many people say that the Kaaba in Saudi Arabia is actually a Shiva Linga, right? Because it was there much before Muhammad came. And there were many, many such stones around there, which he got rid of all of them and he kept only one. Maybe he understood what rays were coming in that one, etc. This is a speculation, what we are saying, right? So, for us, the vibrations of Jupiter are very important, very, very important. That is why many things we start on a Thursday. So on a Thursday, the first hour between sunrise, after sunrise, you don't have to see any Murat to start anything, because that is Jupiter's time. That is Jupiter's time. So if you don't know what to see, whether to see, what is a good time, Thursday first hour is always, just see the sunrise time and first hour, right? And then again there's a science of dividing the time, so you can divide it into 24 minutes, 12 minutes, right? So the first 24 minutes are the most powerful, right? So supposing you want to do anything on any day, and then he gave me the thing that the law of 3. So supposing you want to do something in a very auspicious moment, then you see which Thursday is falling on 3, 9, 12, 21. 3, 9, 12, 21. So in this way, yeah, so these vibrations of Jupiter, and because they are both sides of the pendulum, they can uplift your consciousness also, and they can give you peace, happiness, and whatever you want. I don't know if they give you a lottery or not. Right. Okay. The problem now is that when we go to these temples where they have the Jyotirlings, in all the temples they don't allow you to touch the linga. They protect it and all that, right? And many of them are not the original Jyotirlingas. Some they have been done by the government or something. You know, they have not been put by people, understood and put by people who have that consciousness. You get what I'm trying to say? So, but definitely that spot is very powerful. That spot is very powerful. Yeah, anything else? Yeah.
You know, most faiths, if you look at their prayers, they all say God is very forgiving, very caring, very loving.
Yeah.
Now, why would Prakriti go through all the trouble to create that and make our journey back home so difficult?
I'm going to come to that. I've already spoken about that, but I'll come to that when I take the law of 7. I'm going to repeat that. Right? Because she needs material for the moon, for this evolution of the whole ray. That is why Prakriti has put it over here. And that works both ways. We can also rise. So it's a good logical question. Deep down you also know the answer, that you have to work to get it.
Yeah, but that's the thing, you see, I mean, it's, By saying it's God's will, it's sort of a lazy way out to say, you know what?
Yeah, it is pure laziness. When you're praying, Thy will be done, we are saying, I have reached that state. Thy will be done. Where I have got rid of all the other wills which are in the way. In the way. All these 48 wills, I've got rid of them. I've separated from. Now only your will. That 3. Only your will. Right? But as long as we are living in like and dislike, it is never Thy will be done. Right? We like something today and we dislike something tomorrow. It is never Thy will be done. Okay, I'll take second force tomorrow. Do you want me to start it today? I'll take it tomorrow. Second force. How to see second force in our life. So I'll start it tomorrow. So we'll talk about anything else for the rest of the time. Otherwise, I wanted to take this. Actually, he had a great desire, my Guru, to take me to Gaumukh and spend some time there. And it didn't work out because before that he left. And then after he left, I went and spent a few days with a friend of mine at Gaumukh. And one of the things which give us a sort of entry into certain mysteries is Yoga Nidra, if you are practicing Yoga Nidra. Because many things are not apparent to the 5 senses. So, supposing you are going there and you can enter into a state of Yoga Nidra, that is, you're leaving your physical and you're moving out of the physical, then in that state, in that place, you will be taken to many areas which will reveal certain mysteries to you. Why that area is so powerful, what is there. So, Yoga Nidra is very important. We can practice. Not only is it a practice which brings deep relaxation and understanding in our daily living, but it is a practice for death which we are doing every day. So, right. So, any other questions?
Sir,
Yeah.
when Krishna says, surrender at my feet, I'll take you, there's no death, no disease, no change in time. Where is that?
Up the chain. Up the chain. But when Krishna says surrender, he says everything we must surrender.
Yeah, what we want.
Right? So that means all our habits, all our attitudes. How will we surrender? We don't even know where they are. So unless we have observed ourselves over a period of time, we know what has to die in that surrender. No? So surrender is a very easy word, but it is a very meaningful word and it has to be practiced. It's to be practiced. Surrender. Right? If there is like and dislike, how can I surrender? I cannot surrender. Right? So many people meet me, what are you teaching all this? Krishna said, just say, oh Krishna, and everything will be alright. Right? It doesn't work. Surrender means real surrender. That is to surrender my whole inner structure. This inner structure has been formed through thousands of years of collecting memory patterns. They are so strong, so strong. Even iron and steel is weaker than that inner structure. Right? That strong the inner structure. We don't want to change. We want everything else to change for us. Right? So,
we realize that what is bondage, what is negativity, you realize that you are there, and we don't want to be there.
But that is the beginning. First thing is non-expression of negativity, outside and inside. This is the basic step.
But then, once you reach that state, negativity becomes something else.
Yes, then you rise higher. Then you extract consciousness. But at least you're not expressing negativity, you're not going into 96. 96. The minute I'm expressing negativity, I've fallen from the world of man to the world of the moon. I've become just an ordinary creature who is feeding the moon, a part of a machine of nature. Right? She wants substances for the moon, I'm providing them. Right? That's all I do.
What stage is Krishna? Krishna, what stage is he?
Krishna manifest will be the stage of 3.
The second stage.
Yeah, the second stage. But once Krishna dissolves, then there's no Krishna remaining. Because that is unmanifest. This I just gave you as a sort of background diagram.
That's very important what you mean.
A sort of, you have a map, because where we are going, we have to have a map, and we are filled with so many misconceptions. Right? We don't want to change our intellectual habits, our emotional habits, and then we'll say, okay, we'll do Radha Krishna and get everything. Cannot happen.
Must thank you. So when you show simplifies.
It's very true. If you live Radha Krishna, then you will get everything. But if just by chanting Radha Krishna, you will not get anything. The physical body is Radha, the inner body which is separating is Krishna, it is observing this. Then you will get it.
Like you said, it must become that.
You have to live it. And stage by stage you live Radha Krishna. It's good that we have a temple with the name Radha Krishna. Yes.
Sorry, you spoke about the neutralizing force.
Yeah.
Could you maybe just, so that the people need to see it, so could you define it maybe in relation to the other two?
Just now we can't see it till we learn to see the first and second force. But we can understand it in a different way. Right? So, at present, if I talk to you and you understand, then that understanding is the neutralizing force. But if you don't understand, then the triad is completed by that don't understand. That also becomes the neutralizing force.
Yeah, so the example I had was, I was rushing to get there, so...
No, I can't.
I was rushing to get there.
Get?
I was rushing to come there.
Yeah.
So that was desire. And there was a car in front of me, so I couldn't move, so it was passive. So we're neutralizing the frustration.
No.
Stuck there.
Neutralizing force at that point can come from two places. One from what we call the work and one from life. There are two sources of neutralizing force. Right? Now, if I was to get neutralizing force from life, then I would be hypnotized by life. Right? So then I would get out of my car and I would shout a couple of words to that guy. Right? So then I have become a victim of life. The understanding has come from life. How can somebody park his car in the middle of the road? You know, there are laws and this and that and all that, and nobody has the right to break the law. That is, I've taken my understanding from life. But another is, I want to grow in consciousness. And this is a moment to grow in consciousness, because the anger and irritation which is coming out from me is already within me. This car in front of me is just the excuse. Right? So now the understanding is coming from sadhana, from the work. From the work. That understanding takes us to a higher level of consciousness. So the neutralizing force can come from life, it can come from understanding, inner understanding. It is where we take the neutralizing force from. Right? Supposing it is 9 o'clock. Right? So I say 9 o'clock, how can you ask a question? Right? So then I've taken the neutralizing force from life. Right? So life has its own neutralizing force, and that is to keep you more hypnotized in life, more identified in life. So every moment, where do we take the neutralizing force from? Right? So if we take the neutralizing force from life, then we are more hypnotized by life. If we take the neutralizing force from these ideas which we are sharing with each other, right, then we pause life and we take the understanding from some higher source, a knowledge which has come from higher, and we use that to increase our level of consciousness. Two neutralizing force. But I've not yet talked about the third force, but when we go into the third force, we will see every moment there is a choice within us where to take the third force from. Whether to take it from life or whether to take it from these ideas, the work, what we call. Right? I don't know if I came subject? Okay, not subject. એને થર્ડ ફોર્સ આપણે હજી વાત કરી નથી, પણ કરશું. પણ મેં કીધું કે થર્ડ ફોર્સના બે સોર્સ છે, એક જીવનમાંથી, એક સાધનામાંથી. જીવનમાંથી જો થર્ડ ફોર્સ આપણે લઈએ તો આપણે જીવનથી વધારે આઈડેન્ટિફાઈડ થાય, મોહિત થાય, વધારે શું કહેવાય, હિપ્નોટાઇઝ થાય. એને કીધું કે એ આવતા હતા ત્યારે ગાડી વચ્ચે હતી, રાઈટ? એટલે એક ઈચ્છા છે, મારે ત્યાં પહોંચવું છે, એક સામે તમગુણ આવ્યું છે, ગાડી સામે પડેલી છે. એ ગાડી કંઈ નથી કરતી, પણ ગાડી આપણી અંદર તમગુણ ઉત્પન્ન કરે છે. ઇટ ઇઝ અ કંડક્ટર ઓફ પેસિવ ફોર્સ. હવે એ વખતે થર્ડ ફોર્સ હું ક્યાંથી લઉં છું? ન્યુટ્રલ નીકળીને એ માણસને સરખો કરવો પડે, કે થોડું એ કોઈનું ચાલે કે રસ્તાની વચ્ચે ગાડી પાર્ક